No, there was a problem. No more sweeping stuff under the rug. No more. How can we keep doing this? No, every problem, every issue, it's not a confrontation. It doesn't have to be. You have issues so you can address them and move on. That's what type of chick I am. Okay, we had a disagreement. All right, what you want for dinner? What would you like? Like, I'm not about to sit here and be mad for days. I mean, y'all, he would be mad at me for days. Not really talk to me for days. Mind you, he was never hardly home because he had 2 jobs. One was out of state. So you're starving the person of emotional attachment, and you think that everything is okay. No, it's not. I am bearing my soul. But we got to get the awareness out. Listen, I want to talk to you briefly about dealing with dismissive avoidance. Do you know what that is? You definitely will know if you're dealing with a dismissive avoidant. One of the characteristics, the main characteristic that I want to highlight in being married to a dismissive avoidant was that whenever we would have confrontations, he would just leave. And now my younger years, we can go back and forth. You cuss me, I'm gonna cuss you, even though I don't consider myself to be good at it. But I'm gonna get back at you. But as I got older, and you try to speak life into your person, even when they upset you. Also, you want to handle people with care. You want to do the godly thing. But dealing with a dismissive avoidant kind of triggered my abandonment issues. Now, a dismissive avoidant is one of an attachment style. And I'm not an expert in it, but I know you have a dismissive avoidant, you have a secure person, you have an anxious person, and I'm sure there's others. And normally, I would consider myself secure only because I'm used to people leaving. I'm used to not being able to depend on someone. So therefore, most times I might not even feel attached or get attached because you could be here today, gone today. And that came up from a very young age. When I think about my childhood, the earlier years of my childhood, when my mother did care for me and my siblings, she was married to a military man, and I was an Army brat. We traveled, we packed up, put down, packed up, put down. So it wasn't until she could no longer care for us, and we were given to our grandparents, that I had some form of stability. By then, a lot of damage had already been done. A lot of abuse happened, a lot of neglect happened, which I don't even fault my mother. We never spoke about it until I was an adult, about some of the trauma and some of the sexual abuse that I had, encountered. But dealing with a dismissive avoidant just twisted the knife. What do you do when you love someone and you want to save your marriage, but when you want to talk about them, they emotionally check out and physically check out as well? What do you do when you're always the one to extend the olive branch, where it's rare that, you get an apology from them, where it seems like you are the only one that is apologizing, even when you know that you're right, or at least you're right in how you feel. When I think about a dismissive avoidant, I realize that I have encountered quite a few. Now, there are some studies and people that would say, well, you are what you attract. And I get that to a certain extent. But when you're a giver and when you're a nurturer by nature, you love to pour into people and love onto people, a lot of people are going to be drawn to that light. A lot of wounded souls are going to be drawn to you. A lot of people I didn't attract, they were drawn in. They see me from afar, not that I'm anything special, and desired that. And I feel like some people desire companionship, desire marriage, but they have no idea what marriage takes. They have no idea the effort, the investment that we gotta take. It's hard. Being that this was, my last marriage to this point, it did some things to me, but my shell had already been hardened by life. I wasn't surprised. Sometimes all I wanted was the effort that I put in. I remember him saying, oh yeah, this marriage thing is easy. And I'm like, yeah, because you ain't doing no work. You ain't doing no work. And I told him, I said, I feel like I'm building a house from the ground up and you're just sitting there in the shade with a glass of lemonade. You're not laying no bricks with me to help keep this marriage. It's more than dinners and it's more than, clothes and pocketbooks and buying gifts. It's so much more than that, but people don't realize that. And like I've said time and time before, we invest in everything else but our marriages and our relationships. Why do we do that? Why do we do that? And that I don't know. I don't know, but I will say this. If someone is a dismissive avoidant and they don't want to do the work or recognize what they are doing, I don't know if there's much that you can do. This is not going to be such a long, drawn out video. I'm just letting you know that you're not alone. Dealing with someone that doesn't want to face the reality of what's going on, dealing with someone who's living in their own world and never wants to be held accountable is hard. It will make you very, very frustrated. It will make you question your self-worth. It will. I've dated dismissive avoidance. So what? We get in an argument and I don't hear from you for days. I don't hear from you for weeks. And then when we do talk, it's like, oh no, that wasn't nothing and this and that. No, there was a problem. No more sweeping stuff under the rug. No more. How can we keep doing this? No, every problem, every issue, it's not a confrontation. It doesn't have to be. You have issues so you can address them and move on. That's what type of chick I am. Okay, we had a disagreement. All right, what you want for dinner? What would you like? Like, I'm not about to sit here and be mad for days. I mean, y'all, he would be mad at me for days. Not really talk to me for days. Mind you, he was never hardly home because he had 2 jobs. One was out of state. So you're starving the person of emotional attachment, and you think that everything is okay. No, it's not. I never got closure with my last marriage. He never signed the paperwork. He didn't want to be found and whatever. And you know what? Who's to say in the beginning stages, if he would have just talked to me, maybe we would still be married. But if I'm doing all the work and I'm sending you paperwork and you acting like nothing, then I'm gonna feel like you don't want nothing then. So what am I gonna do? What do you do? You know? And what do you do when a dismissive avoidant, or when any person for that matter, has family members that enable them? No, I don't care. Right is right. It doesn't matter if you're my brother, if you're my sister, if you're my son. Right is right and wrong is wrong. I am not wrong for asking for my husband. I'm not wrong for that. I am not wrong for wanting him to be here. I am not wrong. You know? But here we are. So, I just wanted to talk briefly about it. I don't even know why I was led to even talk about this, but this is for somebody. If they're not willing to get counseling and do the work themselves, I'm praying for you, but it's hard. You're being neglected, and that's a form of abuse too. When you neglect your spouse, your significant other, when you neglect them, that's abuse too. Let's call it what it is. It's okay, men, y'all can go to counseling. Women, we can go to counseling. You're not less than because you go to counseling, or, you admit that you're wrong, or that you can do things better. Put the pride and ego aside. It's a lot of that going on. Even dating, it's horrible out here. Everybody just wants to do what they want to do. No one wants to be held accountable. Everybody's just here and there and everywhere. And that's fine. If that's where we at, that's where we at. Well, at this point, I don't know. I don't know, but I just want you to know that I definitely understand your girl been through it, and you'll get through it just like I've gotten through it, and you'll be better for it. And I pray that things do work out for you. And if not, I pray that you find who is meant for you. Thank you guys. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And I will see you on the next episode.